God. Go too fast. I'm taking 3.
I'm going for the St. Louis now.
Oh, no.
Son of a bitch.
You get your 2?
Yeah.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thotgor here, of course, and today we are going to take a look at a battle in the Maass. Yes, our first time taking a look at a battle in a German destroyer. Also, our first video in quite some time. Yes, I know. Oh, I'm so sorry. I have been incredibly busy. Nothing new there, I suppose. But it's just, you know, at work, our fiscal year end is March 31st, and so I don't know if any of you have any financial experience or knowledge, but you would, if you do, you would understand that that is just a crazy time of the year, especially for a not-for-profit organization, which is what I work for. So it's a lot of crazy crap. But anyway, having fun there, I suppose. But I've also been volunteering in my community. I volunteer a lot in my community. It's really actually something that's very important to me, something I hold near and dear. I have had my own struggles in the past, you know, in my real life and whatnot, and the community was very supportive. And so it's very important for me to give back to the community. So that's what I have been doing, basically work, volunteering, sleep, and eat. That's pretty much about it. Yeah, I know. But everything must come to an end, as everything does, and so my work contract will be coming to an end at the end of March, beginning of April, and my volunteering is going to be over for another year in, I think I have one more meeting or something like that to do in a few weeks. But anyway, I think that's about it. And then we can start focusing back on the channel once again, moving into the summer. I have some choices to make in the future as well, and I don't know really what I'm going to do, because I mean, with my current work situation coming to an end, you know, do I want to go back into looking for a job mode, or maybe, as crazy as it sounds, because I've been talking to a few people and looking into a few things, do I want to do this YouTube thing more and full time potentially? I've been thinking about it. It's just, I don't think that you know, my channel is where it should be in order to, you know, get those qualify for full time sort of stuff. But whatever. Doesn't matter. That's mine to figure out. In the video, you can see we're on Neighbors. I'm quite familiar with this map. I actually really do enjoy this map. There's a lot of little nuances on this map that you need to pay attention to, and while I was jabbering on there in the beginning of the video, you would have noticed that the majority of my team is headed towards the A point. Now, what this means when the majority of the team heads towards the A point is that generally you're going to need a destroyer to scout out the middle, right? So that the ships that are on the way to A have something to shoot at while they're getting there. Now, I am in a destroyer, and a German destroyer at that, which we'll get to in a moment. So I have positioned myself here to spot for my team. Luckily, as well, I'm in a position where I'm able to cap the B point. This is not essential, right? I'm not going to risk my life to cap this point, but it's just I'm in a position and in a situation where, yeah, I can go ahead and take the point, not take any incoming fire. So, the Maass, German Tier 7 destroyer. You don't see many German destroyers in game anymore. It's not really surprising. They are interesting. I'll give it that. Now, I started with the working my way up the German destroyer line. I think I started at Tier 4 in the V170 or something, which is a pretty great little destroyer at Tier 4, but it's Tier 4, right? I mean, it's not representative of the line, and what are you really going to get out of a Tier 4 other than mindless seal clubbing? I don't know. But anyway, moving along, the Tier 5 was pretty terrible. I was pretty glad to get out of that thing. The Tier 6 was interesting. The Grade, I think it's called, or whatever, however you pronounce it, pretty interesting, because it gets the higher caliber guns. But then I got into the Maass here at Tier 7, and this Tier 7 German destroyer I have actually really been enjoying. It's pretty fun. Now, you can stealth torpedo in this destroyer. You have your detection, I think, is 6.8 kilometers, and your torpedoes will go 8.5 kilometers. So you can definitely have that wiggle room there to stealth torpedo. What you do not have is the ability to stealth fire. The second you fire your guns, you're spotted. That's it. Which is a fairly similar situation to our current Russian destroyers. Yes, I know on Monday they'll be adding new ones, but the current ones we have in game as they are, fairly similar in that respect, in that, you know, once you fire, you're going to be spotted. But the Russians have a little better edge over the German destroyers in that the Russians have a little better guns. They have much better smoke. The smoke duration of Russian destroyers is great. And they're faster, which just makes it a little easier to use. So it does make the German destroyers harder to play, I find. And it really does seem to be almost situational, but as we're going to see in this replay today, it can be quite beneficial for you, and you can have a lot of fun in these ships. So basically what I've been doing here in my German destroyer is I've been trying to get myself close enough to an enemy ship to launch my torpedoes and then get away without being spotted. I'm selectively firing my guns, waiting for proper times to fire the guns so that I'm either going behind cover and they're not going to be able to see me, or the enemy ship is on really low health, like we saw with the Congo that I torpedoed a while ago, really low health, and I'm just firing in to try and finish off the enemy. That's pretty much how I've been playing the Maass here. I find if I go headlong into a number of enemy ships, and then say pop your smoke and launch your torpedoes, that is not a good strategy in the Maass. In your German destroyers in general, I mean, your smoke isn't long enough, it's just not what the ship is meant to do. What the Maass can do very well as well is hunt enemy destroyers. We do have the acoustic sonar ability on this German destroyer, and it is very, very nice and very, very useful. I do not believe we're going to get to see the that being exploited in this map or in this battle, but when it does happen, it's very, very nice, especially when you're in that situation where you know that there's an enemy destroyer in the smoke in front of you. You cannot see the enemy destroyer. Now with the Maass, you can just go ahead, pop the smoke, or pop the acoustic sonar, cruise off into the smoke, find the enemy destroyer, and take it out. And that's something that the Maass can do very well. The guns on this ship are pretty decent. You don't get the option on the Maass to get the higher caliber guns. You just have the standard German destroyer caliber, which I forget what it is, but standard German destroyer caliber. But you get 5 of them. 5 single gun turrets, which isn't too bad. And generally speaking, at tier 7 is pretty good. I mean, you can easily deal with most tier 7 destroyers. I think the biggest threat in terms of enemy destroyers for the Maass is going to be a Bliss. Probably a Bliss. The Mahan, yeah, maybe, but probably the Bliss. It just packs quite a punch. But anyway, we can see my team has successfully capped the A point, and they are now moving towards the north. Down here in B, where I am, we are more or less holding on to this point and just sort of harassing the enemies. The enemies basically pushed into A and then circled around A are now pushing towards the south, trying to get themselves into the B cap zone. I was a little concerned at this point because I know everything looks to be going pretty good for my team, but if we look at where my team is on the map versus where the enemy team is on the map, you can see that there are a lot of enemies pretty close to B, and the only ships we have here at B to stop any of these enemy ships are myself and I think an allied battleship and cruiser, so not too much to actually be able to do anything. So I was a little concerned, and what I'm trying to do at this point in time is to take out one of these enemy battleships. I really, really wanted to torp one of them, take them out, and then just run away, get myself out of this whole situation. I do end up popping smoke, and I'm going to use the smoke briefly. Briefly being the key. If you notice the timer there on the side, on the left-hand side of the screen, you'll notice that you get about a minute. I think it's a minute 7 on the German smoke, which is the shortest of all of the smokes. So you really do need to pay attention when you use this smoke. You know, typically I use the smoke to shield myself as I'm running away from something. I generally don't set myself up in smoke like this, which you know, is to pop the smoke, stop in the smoke, and start firing. I generally don't do that in the Maass, and it is because of the smoke duration. Now, keep in mind as well, you always need to keep in mind that your smoke is a huge torpedo magnet, so you don't necessarily want to always just pop your smoke, come to a stop, sit in your smoke, and fire your guns. It is not always a good thing to do. You really need to you know, have your situational awareness about you so that you know where the torpedo boats are, that are the ships that are able to launch torpedoes, where those people are in relation to you. So we can see that my smoke is gone. I wasn't paying attention to the timer there, but I did manage to land a few torp hits on that enemy New Mexico, which isn't too bad, and I'm now going to fire my guns in on the enemy New Mexico as I sail away. Maneuverability of the Maass isn't too bad. She's not the fastest destroyer, but she's not the slowest, which is nice. She does seem to turn pretty decently. I have my Maass here, I believe, well, she's fully upgraded in terms of like the researchable modules, but I haven't purchased any additional modules for her because I'm not totally sold on the German destroyer line as of yet. I'm going to keep slowly working my way up, and as we'll see near the end of the video, I am pretty close to getting the Tier 8 German destroyer, Z-23 I believe it's called. So there's that. But I haven't been spending the money to upgrade the destroyers themselves because, like, I'm just not totally convinced on her. If any of you are wondering, I did take the Maass out into ranked battle as well. No, don't do it. Not worth your time. I mean, you might be thinking, well, Thotgor, I'm pretty good in my Maass. I don't know what you're saying. Everyone's different and all that. And that's true. You're not wrong. The problem is the other destroyers that the enemies are going to take into the battle. Your Bliss is going to destroy the Maass. The Mahan, in conjunction with the Bliss, can team up and just take out the Maass here. The Maass also suffers from this insane nerf that they have to the German destroyers. You know, once you fire your guns, you're spotted. It takes forever for you to no longer be spotted, so it just doesn't work in that competitive environment. But here in random battles, not a problem, because you can make situations for yourself. You have a lot more enemy ships to play around with, and so you can really play to your strengths, much like we just did to this enemy Miyoko here. Player thought that sailing in a straight line was a good idea. I was actually quite surprised that the Miyoko did sail in a straight line. You generally don't see that too much from cruisers, but you never know. I mean, they've been giving away Miyokos like crack, and I suppose everyone and their brother is going to have one, and so you're bound to see some questionable moves in them. But anyway. The enemies are now capping the A zone. Doesn't really matter though, does it? Because we just capped the C zone. There's no need for us to go down there and deal with those enemy ships. At least that's what I was thinking. We can see shots coming in. It's from an enemy Omaha, and I do believe there's an enemy Nicholas over there as well. I'm not too concerned with these people. Again, I'm trying to focus on these enemy battleships, take them down. You can see my allied battleship there, the Nagato, I believe, has called for smoke. No, it's a Warspite, and I, obviously gonna go ahead and oblige and give them the smoke. Do keep in mind, though, players out there, that when you call for smoke and it comes from your German destroyer friend, that smoke is going to last a minute at best. So you're not gonna have, this opportunity in your battleship to slow down, sit in the smoke, and fire your guns. It's basically just gonna break line of sight so that you can maneuver yourself to get a better angle against the enemy. So looking around, I noticed that the Omaha and the Nicholas are harassing my allied Warspite a lot. So I should probably step in and do something here as, and not just sail away. So we're going to turn and we're going to start firing our guns, and we are going to start taking down the enemy Omaha here. Now, I had some reservations because obviously it's a cruiser coming up against a destroyer. Generally not a good play, but it is an Omaha, a few tiers lower than me, and he's on fairly low health. And the Maass does have a good rate of fire, as we can see here, right? You can really get those 5 guns going, and it's almost like a machine gun kind of, maybe, but, you know, not quite, obviously. Now, we do end up taking down the enemy Omaha, which is great, but now we have to deal with this enemy Nicholas. Enemy Nicholas is on full health. Luckily, I do still have some allies in and around me to able to help me out. Now, I do quickly launch off some torpedoes at the Nicholas. If the Nicholas decides to stay in this straight line, maybe those torpedoes will do something, maybe they won't. At the very least, maybe the destroyer will turn, and then I will get some better shots in than just these bow-on shots that I'm having to deal with right now, which isn't too bad. I am getting some damage in there, and the Nicholas is, you know, slowly losing hit points, which is great. Now, if we do take a look at the minimap, we'll notice that basically the enemy Nicholas and Omaha was all the enemies had down here at A. So once this player is gone, we should be able to sneak in there and take A, but then I look at the cap points and it's like, well, battle is pretty much over. We more or less have victory here. So we'll get the kill on the Nicholas, which is fantastic. Take a look at my damage numbers here as well, and I'm quite surprised to see that I'm sitting over 100,000 damage in the Maass. Doesn't happen often. I mean, the Maass, at least in my hands, seems to be an average performer, but I do still enjoy her, taking her out and sailing around in her every now and then, and like I say, slowly working towards that tier 8 destroyer. Now, battle over, victory is ours. Let's take a look at some results. Wasn't too bad, so 8,000 experience. Keep in mind, I've got the Ocean Soul camo on to get the extra experience. 101,000 damage. I got the 7 torpedo hits, which really does equate to all that damage there, with the 4 floods as well, which wasn't too bad. Second overall in the team, and yes, I have made it to rank 5 in the current ranked season. I'm trying to get to 1. I will keep trying the best I can do. maybe 5th season will be the one where I get, are we the... I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We can see how some of the damage has broken down there briefly. A lot of that damage going to the enemy Congo there. Right at the beginning, that battleship driver just sailed straight in a straight line. It was glorious. 226,000 credits is what I do end up walking away with. And, you know, ever since they introduced the inventory system in your depot now in ships, I have had so much money. And I've been playing a lot of ranked, obviously, to get to 5. It has, you know, requires quite a bit of ranked play. I'm sitting on 32 million credits. I got nothing to spend it on right now. I want to buy my Minotaur, but I'm nowhere near being able to research her. I am pretty close, like I say, to that tier 8 German destroyer, so I might purchase that. But I'm not sure what I'm going to do with all this money that I have now. I don't know, I'm sure I'll think of something, but we can see, you know, we're fairly close to the Z23. Yeah, I could research it now, but I kind of want to hold on to my free experience. I'm not saving for the Missouri or anything like that. It's just, yeah, I don't really want to use it on that ship. I'd rather use it to get my Minotaur, and you can see I'm still quite a ways away. But anyway, I digress. German destroyers, they're interesting. I would give them a shot if you're looking for something different to play, but I definitely wouldn't expect too much out of them, we'll say. They haven't quite found their place in the game as of yet, anyway. But anyway, that is today's video. I do hope you guys enjoyed it. Remember to leave any comments you have for me in the video comment section below. I love reading those and responding back to them. Remember to hit the old like button if you did like today's video. Hit subscribe if you are not a subscriber. And of course, I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day.